Thanks. That's really touching. Thank you so much. That's nice. Okay, everybody, you will hopefully would have all met Sarah. Sarah is Joanne's executive assistant, but Sarah's been working with me on support groups. Tremendous support. It's helpful. Did we just lose someone? Before I introduce the guest of honour, I would like to introduce a new member of the team, Peter Evans. He's not the chef, but he shares the same name. Peter is Peter is the digital campaigns manager, working as part of the marketing team with Morel and John. And Pete's just joined today just to meet all of you and to see what everybody's up to in the digital space, because that's where he lives. Pete also is he's not a virtual, he's what are you? Remote.
Remote, yeah.
Remote. So Pete actually lives in Queensland. So he works for Parkinson's New South Wales, but lives in Queensland. So there you go. You can have a gym and live anywhere. Last person coming in. Hi, Joy. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Great. And Pat James. How are you going there, Pat? Can I ask everybody to put yourselves on mute, please, in preparation for the meeting? So I'll introduce Morel in a second. So Morel will do a presentation, and if you've got any questions, then we'll kick into that afterwards. Morel, did you want to be sharing the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. That's all good. You should be able to straight away. So everybody, Morel is a marketing and digital manager with Parkinson's New South Wales, and Morel heads up the team. And today she's going to present to us about Facebook and all things online. We'll have a presentation and then some Q&A afterwards. So, Morel, thanks for joining.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. It's really good to see some familiar faces again. It's been a while since I've joined, but good to see you. I've had a lot of questions over a period of time, especially with COVID, about social and staying connected. Thank you to everybody who has sent some questions in advance. A few couldn't join, but they sent some questions. So I popped that in the Q&A for us to go over. I just put together a little presentation so that it can prompt us all to have a little bit of a discussion. And also I wanted to share with you mainly the differences with the different setups of profiles and pages and groups on Facebook. Please, ask away as I go through, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Sound good? Right. So, I guess, so everybody can see that okay? Yeah? Okay. I guess one of the things I wanted to start off with, and this Zoom today is to talk to you as the leadership committee of your support group about really your presence on Facebook and digital, rather than going into the granular detail. If you would like support, because I know, Helen, you've reached out with support to help your participants understand Facebook a little bit more, we can do something like that for them, or I can put together a document or a little working group if you like. So it'll be a show and tell. So we can connect with participants of your group if you feel that that's going to be of benefit at another time. So do let me know as we go through. So really, I suppose the biggest thing is why we go online and why it's sort of relevant, I guess, during this lockdown that affects most of us here on screen at the moment, the option to connect. I know that security and privacy is a really big concern for a lot of people, and Facebook especially has been in the headlines with some breaches of privacy. But if you'll recall, there was some articles that we wrote last year, and we'll push them back out to you to share with the participants of your groups, and around how to just check your privacy, check your settings on Facebook from time to time, to know that what you are sharing with your group, with your friends, is what you want them to see. With updates to Facebook, things change over time. They don't, you know, we always work through the fine print, so it's always very good practice to go into your settings. And the settings moves, so you will have gone and accessed it in a certain way one time, but Facebook likes to move things around and keep us guessing, so it's really important that we do that. Connecting with people of similar interests. That's going to be a really big thing that we'll talk about in terms of Facebook groups, and why we can recommend and urge you all to create a group as opposed to a page, and things like that. I want to share with you three different Facebook terms or ways to actually be present on Facebook. There are three layers, if you like. The first one is what we call the Facebook profile or your personal account. So that there is the very first thing that you sign up to. It's your one person account. So this here is when you are connecting with people as friends. That's called your profile. It's pretty much the first thing that you sign up to. You can't do anything else before you create a Facebook profile. And to do that, you basically need 4 bits of information, or 3 or 4. You need a name, and it really should be a valid name, or a name that you are known as or go by. A working email address, because you need to verify that this is you, or a phone number. So when you sign up, you can either use a working email or a phone number to sign up. They ask you for date of birth, because the minimum age to join Facebook is 13 years, and they ask for your gender. Now the gender, that's a minimum requirement, and they use that for targeting, mainly for promotional. Once you've created your profile, you then control the privacy of your profile. So this is your individual account. The next thing is what they call a Facebook page. So a Facebook page is similar to a profile in that it looks the same, except that you are now connecting to a page by liking or following. So notice the differences in the terminology. So it's not a friend as such. You're either liking a page or you're following a page. Pages are generally visible to anyone on the internet. That's by default. Posts or the information or the content or the pictures that you share in your Facebook page are generally public. Anyone on the internet can access them. Pages are, and this is by Facebook's definition, pages are generally used to represent businesses, organisations, public figures, brands. That's what they encourage a page is used for. So for that top, higher sort of level, because what you're generally sharing on a Facebook page is more general in its information. So you'll do an update, you'll do some news item, but it's generally not, a personal in its nature when you're sharing information. So you have to have a profile first, so set up that individual account to create a Facebook page or a Facebook group. The next thing is your Facebook group, and this is what we'll talk about quite a bit. So the Facebook is when you are starting to connect with people on a much more common interest and deeper level. This is where you'll share information. So if we take our Parkinson's community, Joy, for example, down in the Eurobodalla, if you go into a Facebook group and you are all probably members of your local community groups, such as a buy, swap and sell, such as the local news, things like that. It makes sense that you're part of that and you're sharing information relevant to your community. Everybody understands that. So that's a common interest. But how you can use your Facebook group for your support group, for example, is let them know about an update to a speaker. let them know, for example, that Parkinson's New South Wales has just sent everybody the In Touch newsletter, so check your inbox. There are different ways to communicate with your participants this way, and the beauty about it is that it's quick and it's in real time. Most people will have Facebook on their smartphone as an app, and the notifications will be on, so you'll be notified more times that there is something waiting in your Facebook for you to go and read, which is really good. The other thing in a Facebook group, because by nature it is a closed group of people and people come together to share with a common interest, the conversation flows. You'll get more engagement. You'll get more people willing to share. You'll get more people wanting to start a chat or a conversation. So there's a lot of benefits to a Facebook group. And I just wanted to share with you a video that Facebook themselves have put up just to explain the two options, the privacy options of a public group versus a private group. There used to be 3 different privacy options, but they've narrowed that down. So when we're creating a Facebook group, it's either public, which means that all of the content in the group, all of the participants in that Facebook group are visible to anyone on Facebook, versus private, which basically means that unless you are accepted to join that Facebook group, you cannot see the content or the participants or the members of that group. So they're the two differences. I'll get this right in a minute.
Just while Mariel's sorting that out, everybody, glad to see that you're all vigorously taking notes. The slideshow will be available for you as well. And obviously this will be in the YouTube playlist for the support group leaders. So you'll be able to come back to this and review it at any time. Having some technical difficulties still.
Sorry.
Is the link not working, Mariel?
You can't see that, Felicity?
The video?
Yeah.
No. Can anybody see the video playing? No.
No. Give me 1 second and I will find it again. Is that better?
That's it. Can you all see that? Great.
All right, let me just restart it from the beginning. So although that did have audio, my apologies that it didn't play, but that gives you an idea, and that's from Facebook directly, about the differences between public or private Facebook groups. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay, so here are the three different options, or the three, your presence, if you like, and this is when to use them. So a Facebook profile, that's your Facebook presence to represent your personal identity. You want to keep certain information private. So this is when you'll go into your settings and share with friends, share with everybody. They're your options. And you want to actually choose who you are friends with. The Facebook page is when you want your presence to represent your business, the brand, or a professional identity. You want to share all your information publicly, and you might want to do some advertising, which they call paid promotions. Then if we move on to a Facebook group, this is when you want to have discussions and bring people together about a particular topic or an area of interest. You want to help others learn and to connect, and you want to build closer relationships. So there's slight nuances and differences between the page and the group. And for our purposes, we're talking about a Facebook group. So why? There's more control over who joins the Facebook group. You elect, as the support group leadership team, you elect who you want to be administrators or moderators of the Facebook group. And Parkinson's New South Wales, myself, we co-admin with you. So we're always in the background supporting you. If you go on leave, if something's not working, if there are changes to settings, if you can't remember how to do certain things, we're in the back end. So you're connecting with us as well. And all you need to do is send us a message, drop us an email, give us a phone call, however it works, and that's how we support you. The other thing too is rules. You set these rules and the questions before you take the group live. Now, when I'm saying all of this, we actually set the Facebook group up for you. We do it with you, but we set it up for you. So we discuss all of this. What is the actual focus? What is the actual goal or aim of your group? Do you just want to connect with your support group participants, or do you want the Facebook group to be open wider to your community so that others know that there is a Parkinson's support group in the area? So these are the things that we'll talk about so that then you can control who actually joins. Really, really important is setting those rules, and the rules are around behaviour. Oh, sorry, Felicity?
Yeah, just for that, there's a question in from Leslie, and sort of, I think before we sort of move on a little bit further.
Yeah.
Leslie said that you need a profile to have a group, so does it have to be a personal profile?
Correct.
Can I answer that? I have a personal profile on Facebook, but when I sort of stepped in to help Morel a bit, and I was only in there for, I don't know, a few months, not very long at all, to be admin and support with all of the Facebook groups, I set up a professional profile. So I have two profiles on Facebook. One is my own one, and the other one is purely the one that I use to work in the support group, Facebook groups. So if you're on your computer, it will allow you to flip between those two profiles. So you can just log in once. If you logged into both, you can flip between those. That's right, Marielle?
Yeah, so...
your phone, not so much. I haven't been able to do it on my phone, but I'm sure there is a way. But it's strongly advisable to do that, because then you can just have that profile just for your Facebook group and nothing else. And then you can feel free to do whatever it is that you love to do, silly or not, on Facebook without people in your support group knowing what you get up to.
I will add to that. A lot of people do that, absolutely. However, just be aware that Facebook actually prefer you to only have one profile.
Really?
So that's now getting quite technical and into the terms and conditions of Facebook, like anything. It's probably more for those people who are actually professional social media consultants or work in that space, and who run ads because they want to be able to make sure that it's connected to the individual. So talk to me if you have concerns about using your own Facebook profile, most certainly, so that we can then have a look at your own settings. And then what we can do is we can limit what you are sharing and start to get a little bit more refinement in things that you share with your friends and family is different to things that you share in a Facebook group or to your participants. So we certainly can work with the settings on that, not a problem.
There's more questions. Do you want to
Yep.
settle those now, or do you want to move to them at the
Yep.
end?
Yeah, so Leslie says, have I got this right? You need a profile to have a group, so does it have to be your personal profile?
That's the one we were just speaking to.
Yeah, so if you look at it in terms of hierarchy, the profile is the first thing you create. That's when you log in using your email address or your phone number and your password. That's called the profile. Then the next layer is either the page or the group. So yes, Leslie, and you've done exactly that. Helen says, is there any reasons not to have a private support group, Facebook group, and a public Facebook group? Yeah, so there are differences between the public and the private. What I would say to you is that this is where it's important to know what you want to use your Facebook group for. We will always encourage you to have a private Facebook group to be able to then know who is part of your Facebook group community. Because then what happens is that you will get, and you'll know this from your support group, you will get people joining your Facebook group that are salespeople, that are have absolutely no interest in Parkinson's but think it's a great idea. So I think it's important that your group is set up and intended for people who want to be in there. You're going to get much better conversation. You're going to get much richer engagement. Then you're
The public one I was talking about was a page as opposed to a group.
Oh, sorry, Helen. You always should set up your Parkinson's presence as a private Facebook group, not a page. So what I will say to you is a page is intended for the brand. So the page is intended for the organisation. And then as that rolls off that, it's called social proof. So what then is created from the page are the groups. So we will create the group as we have, Helen, for you, for the Maitland, off the Parkinson's New South Wales Facebook page. Is that making sense? So rather than your Facebook group sitting silo created from your profile, it should be created from the Parkinson's New South Wales page. And that's how we create it for you after we've had those conversations with you, and then work with you to support you should you have issues with admins, should you go away, things like that. Does that help? Someone told me he uses a false date of birth, that he was told to do this by a member of the federal police. Can't answer that. I'm sure there's all sorts of stuff that go on there. I know that people that get on there want to share things that use a date of birth so that they are on Facebook before they're 13. It's entirely up to you what you want to do with date of birth, but I don't know that level of detail, Helen. Melissa, if I block my profile from public and only allow my friends to see it, will that be okay? Yes, absolutely. Melissa, public Facebook page. Was that answered, Helen? Your personal profile should be set to friends only. I would say to you that that's your own preference, Claire, but you're absolutely right. That's your setting. Will you be posting PNSW events on your Facebook page so we can share? John, that all depends on what the actual Zooms, what the actual new videos are. So the support group leader, for example, videos, the Zoom sessions that we all record, we will share those in the actual support group leader Facebook group. So are you all aware that there is a support group leader Facebook group? No? We'll share the link to that one. So as support group leaders, we've created your own, we've created your own Facebook group. So John, it really depends on what the Zoom or the video, who the audience is intended for. Because as I said before, our Facebook page is a public sharing. All the message goes out to everyone. So that might not be relevant to everybody. Helen, I think he's thinking of identity theft. Totally, Helen. Yeah, totally. There is obviously a lot of concern about what you share on any platform. So yeah, what if Leslie says, what if we already have a page? Do we change it, or do you change it for us, or do we just leave it? We'll talk about that granular detail, Leslie, after this, because I know that you have a Facebook page and also a Facebook group. So we'll talk about just moving everything over to your closed private group. Is that all the questions? All right. So, okay, so what do you do next? I suppose the next thing to do is, if you're interested, is we can continue this conversation together so that we can talk about things that concern you. We can talk about anything that you in particular want to set up and stuff like that. There is a lot of functionality in your group. So we can talk to you about, for example, for those of you that like to share pictures, you know, how do you do that? There are ways to load, those of you that create a newsletter, you can actually put that into a section in your Facebook group as well and share that with your participants. What I would also say is not everybody is a fan of Facebook. So it's really, Doreen, so it's really important to know whether your support group participants, you know, how they feel about it. And like I said from the beginning, sometimes it's because there's a lot of, you know, Helen just mentioned identity theft and things like that. There's a lot of negative press that's out there around all of these social media platforms, and Facebook has been in the press a lot. So what I would say is, you know, check the comfort levels of your participants. Again, it could be that there just needs to be a little bit of hand-holding, support them with different ways to tighten their settings. They might have questions about, why do I see this pop up in my Facebook profile? Such as, you know, a person that used to be, that I used to know, that I used to work with, all of a sudden comes up as a suggested friend, for example. Why does that happen? How do we all link together? Why do I keep seeing an advertisement for, you know, Light and Easy, or Skechers shoes, or Whitner boots? You know, that's funny because I was just on the internet looking for a new fridge. All of a sudden, Harvey Norman's in my Facebook profile. You know, how does that happen? And so that causes a lot of fear in us because we think, oh, Big Brother's watching. Obviously my camera was on, or I was talking to something, or, you know, I was typing it in, they're all watching. And it is all connected, but there are ways to actually tighten your settings, which is really important. And like I said, we will pretty much help you or do for you everything that's required to set this up, including supporting you in how to then let your participants or your community or whoever you want know that this exists so that they could then start to join the Facebook group. All right, so a couple of questions. How do we have one independent Facebook page or group, whatever is best? 100% a Facebook group, and that's a closed private group or a closed group is the way that we move forward. For a lot of support groups, some of you already have Facebook pages or existing groups that are out there. Certainly, you know, talk to me if you have concerns or if you don't have administrators or anything like that. But moving forward, and this has been the case for the last at least few years, that we always encourage a Facebook group set up from the Parkinson's New South Wales Facebook page. Where are we? Helen, many of our members, even the ones who are online, are not on Facebook. Yeah, a lot of people resist, Helen. They are really concerned and they're frightened. It makes it a little bit difficult for you if you are having to share information multiple ways, in different ways to reach everybody. But at the same time, it's a preference, it's a choice. Like I know it's a tough one. Like I said, happy to support you to give them a little bit of comfort, to give them some more information through videos, through tutorials, through you know, some navigating Facebook to see if that's something they'd consider. There is an organisation called the Be Connected organisation. I'll just jot it down here and we'll share that detail with you. This organisation here is a not-for-profit organisation, and they do some fantastic learnings, and they've got great resources. So before we finish, I'll go onto that site and share my screen with you and show you a couple of the different resources. They're very, very good. They're easy to follow. They've got a help desk as well, but I would suggest that it's a really good start. They're not just for Facebook, they're about anything digital. So it's a great resource.
Can I also share with everybody, Morel, that we actually have an article about Be Connected and older people online coming up in the next issue of In Touch as well. So, yeah, tremendous.
Yeah, they are really, really good. Yeah. Let me just get my questions back up. Does PNSW always see what's on a page, or is it only for the support group members? Okay, so let me try and get this one right, Cheryl. So are you saying that if we set up a Facebook group for your support group, do we see what's on that group? Is that the question, Cheryl?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are administrators in the back end. So we're sitting, you know, over here, and you reach out to us if you need us. So although we're an administrator of that Facebook group, I am not in your group every day looking at your content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but is it something that, I mean, I have no problems whether they see it or they don't see it, but I'm just wondering, is it something that you can just go in and, like, you have to be an administrator and you can just see it?
Yes, we have to be an administrator, yes, because the group's being set up off the Parkinson's New South Wales Facebook page.
Yeah, so a group can't independently set up their own.
I would not recommend that you do that, Cheryl. There are currently websites out with support groups that they can't administer and work. because they've inherited them. There are Facebook pages, Facebook groups that are out on Facebook that some support group leaders again have inherited and they don't know how to work them. I can't help you or support you with that because I'm not an administrator or a moderator. So you have to be obviously, at that level to be able to have the support there. Because what ends up happening is you will no longer be part of the group, or you move and things like that. That whole presence then can't be maintained.
Yeah, it was just a question that I just wanted to know. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. How do we get people to join the group? Do we invite them and then accept them? Yeah, Melissa, there's multiple ways. You can share the link of the group and then put it into an email and get everybody to click through. There is also invite members within the group. There is an option to then click invite, and then you can invite people that you're connected with. So there's a range of ways, and then you can go through and accept. Are you adverse to having say 2 groups, or 1 group, 1 page per location, 1 private, 1 public, to share events and other posts amongst the wider local community? Really, to come back to John, what the aim or the goal of your Facebook presence is. So if you actually have that sorted and set, that will determine how you set up your Facebook presence. I know that a lot of people reach out to groups or pages because they think they can sell them something, or they think that they can get in and advertise or do whatever it is. It really depends. I know that, John, you've got a really good handle on digital, so you'd be a great support for your support group. But I would suggest that you try and limit your presence to a Facebook group. Like the idea, John, is that possible? Again, it all really depends on how much time you're going to dedicate to having a Facebook presence, on top of everything else and the other ways that you do communicate. So again, it's really going to come back to who is going to run your Facebook presence and still maintain your emails and still support the group, your actual support group, with all the other functionality. So I would say limit your Facebook presence to a Facebook group. I like the idea too. Do you have to have a Facebook profile to join a Facebook private group? Yes, Terry, you do. So you absolutely have to have a profile. So are you currently on Facebook, Terry?
Can't hear you, Terry.
I'm not on Facebook.
Okay, so yes, you do. You have
And
to.
a lot of our group members aren't on Facebook either.
Okay, yeah. So
It's not really a possibility.
yeah, they're not interested in Facebook as an option, Terry.
They see it as a vicious plot.
Yeah. A lot of people do, absolutely. Have they shared with you any other way? Are they just keen on
We just use bulk emails.
email? Yeah, and that works for you?
Works for me.
Perfect. If that works for you, then stick with that, Terry. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cheryl, Facebook groups searchable. Depends on how they're set up, Cheryl. So if they are a private group, you can't search them. If they are a closed, so they're in the settings itself is when you determine if it's hidden. I beg your pardon. If it's a hidden private group, you can't search it, so you don't even know it exists. But if it's just a private group, you can see that, for example, the Northern Rivers Parkinson's support group is a Facebook group, but you can't see who's in it and you can't see any of the content unless you're accepted to join. Yeah. Barbara, can we have a couple of administrators? Absolutely, Barbara. So I would highly suggest that you do allocate a few administrators so that you can all share the load and come together and talk about things that have been proposed in there and stuff. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What else have I got under here? Do we have a couple? Yep. Can I do this and keep the current members or followers? Okay, so if you already have a Facebook presence, a Facebook page or a Facebook group, and you want to change that or you want to have me set up for you a Facebook group off the Parkinson's New South Wales page, what you would need to do is then invite all of those people that are already a member of that other Facebook group to join the new one. You can't actually transfer members from one to another. You need to invite them again. So you would do things like have conversations in that group and say, we're now, going to move over to a different group. Here is the link to that group. Please go ahead and join this one. And then just keep that one going for a little bit of time and then have people sort of come over. Melissa, do I also become an admin? Do you mean as the support group, as the support group leader, do you become an admin? Yes, if you choose to. It's entirely up to you who you would like to be administrators of your Facebook group. John, why not just add PNSW page as a member of old group and promote to? Why not just add PNSW page as a member and promote to admin? Why not add PNSW page? I'm trying to understand. Oh, so it really depends. Okay, I understand. John, only because that then becomes a little bit tedious in terms of administration, but you certainly can do that if you choose to. So what John's asking is if there's already a group that exists and the group actually, Facebook group, accepts pages to be part of the Facebook group, then what he's suggesting is you add Parkinson's New South Wales as a member of the actual Facebook group, and then Parkinson's New South Wales becomes the admin. So let me take that one offline, John, and we'll certainly consider that. I think my group might be hidden because the members have started. Oh, they can't find it, Melissa. I'll look into that. That's the Castle Hill one, isn't it? I'll look into that. Melissa? Yes, okay, no problems. I'll look into that. The allow page option can be flipped on, then back off. Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. So, can we transfer our videos to a new? Yes, you can, Leslie. So you can populate content move that over to a new group, not a problem.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I can see that a lot of you are messaging Morel directly, and that's fine. However, it'd be much better if you wouldn't mind, please, to just message to everybody, because we can save the chat and this can form the basis for Q&A, the questions that you're all asking. So if you could just direct them to everyone. The recording automatically saves our chat as long as it's to everyone. So thanks, guys. I should have said that in the beginning, sorry.
Terry, does Parkinson's New South Wales run a New South Wales Facebook group for people? Yes, it does, Terry. Or do you see it as a support group function? No, certainly not. So you definitely do not need to, create a Facebook group for your own support group. Certainly not. It comes back to whether that's something you would like to do for your group or for your community that we can support you with. So yes, there is a Parkinson's New South Wales Facebook group for people living with Parkinson's that we administer. So yeah. How big is the NSW group? That would be, from memory, there's about 250 people in that one, Terry.
There's a few groups that we have, isn't there, Morel? So we've got the support group online, support groups online, community support group leaders group. We've also got a carers group. We've got a young onset group.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, four different groups depending on where you're at with your Parkinson's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
Do you
Claire,
have a DBS group?
do we have a DBS Facebook group? No. Do we have a DBS Facebook group? I can't remember, Felicity.
We don't, but I think we should start one.
Do you now?
I'll just add that to your poll on my last day, mate.
That's right.
I think because, you know, Terry, I'm not sure if you joined the DBS Zoom that we had with Paul Silverstein, but we are starting up. We're going to have 3 more.
DBS
Make it an announcement. We're going to have 3 more DBS Zooms across the rest of the year. So watch this space. They're already scheduled, and they will be featuring our Parkinson's community nurses. So the nurse from Coffs, the nurse from Port Macquarie, the nurse from Tweed, the nurse from Hornsby, and the nurse from Illawarra, Shoalhaven. And they will be, and if they can grab a hold of some neurologists that they know, all the better. That's sort of still a little bit up in the air, but certainly doing some more work for DBS. So I think it's an idea to add to your list of a gazillion and one things to do, Morel. DBS Facebook group.
Absolutely. Well, Pete's on now. It is day 3. So
there you go, Pete.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely, Terry.
Good idea. Thanks, Terry.
Yeah. Claire, not a problem. You're welcome. No worries at all. Thank you, Leslie, for typing that up for everybody. Appreciate it. What else? Right. Will I show you a little bit of the Be Connected website and we can go through that? Would that be okay? All right. Let me set it up. And bear with me 1 second and then I'll share my screen. All right, so share screen. Keep that one. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah. So Be Connected is actually a site by the Australian government. And it's a site to get everybody online and comfortable online. And they've even got, we're actually a network, we're actually a partner with Be Connected. We signed up, I think at the early 2020 to become a partner with them. But there are certain things in here. So if I quickly just show you, if we come down, there are different presentations. You can even go in here to a little directory to find help in your local area, somebody that can connect with you either via video call, via a phone call. They may even be able to come out to you. There are also different topics. So you can do things like go on and start browsing. So if we on the Start Learning, there are things down here. So for example, the essentials. What is a laptop? What's the difference between a laptop and a tablet? What's a smartphone? So if any of your participants really want to start from that basic level, this is fantastic. So I'll type this up for you and put it in the chat. You know, getting to know your device. So sometimes what it is that we're a little bit skeptical or unsure how to use things because of terminology. And everybody uses digital terminology differently. So how to use a keyboard, how to use a mouse, all that sort of stuff. Getting started online, so it goes through the internet, using your email. What's a search engine? Talk to you about internet safety. And then there's a really good section here on safety first. So really about passwords, if anybody actually does any financial transactions online. Do you pay bills online? Have you thought about doing that? Do you do it using your phone? All sorts of things, you know, how to download and save a document, for example. And really importantly, once you've actually saved it, where is it? How do I then go and find it again? Because that always, you know, tricks us up. And then there's different things as well. Somebody might want to know how to use a digital camera, things like that. And then there's a good section down here on connecting to others. So this one here is all about video calling. So using Skype, maybe using WhatsApp. For those of you that have got an Apple iPhone, using FaceTime. So FaceTime is that video call from an Apple to Apple device. So Apple smartphone to an Apple iPad, that sort of stuff. And they've got this new section here on how to use Zoom. So it's a really good tutorial with pictures on what Zoom's all about and how to set it up. And then data, Wi-Fi, online hobbies, you know, apps. There's a really good bit about game centres. So these are all your little topic. If you don't see anything from the quick topics, just type it in and have a little bit of a look. Finding local help, again, you can go in here and see if somebody in your local area or there's a network partner, helping others and things like that. So that's the Be Connected site, a fantastic resource for somebody who's starting out or somebody who wants to just know a little bit more. So now, will I quickly show you a Facebook group of our Facebook page. So let me just stop sharing and then reshare my screen. Okay. All right, so this, for everybody can see that okay? This, for example, is our Parkinson's Carers online Facebook group. So this is a group that we've set up from our Facebook page, and this is for caregivers. So anybody who comes who would like to join this and is a caregiver. As you can see here, as an administrator, these are the things that you will see. So you will notice that this is a private page, which a private group, I do beg your pardon, only members can see who's in the group and what they post. And it's visible, so it's private and it's visible. Anyone can find this group. So if you were interested in a Parkinson's Carers group or whatever, you can come up here to search and you can search in here some keywords and this group will pop up for you. If this says hidden, and this goes back to what you were asking, Cheryl, if that actually says hidden, you can't find it. You can't search. So if you went and searched, it wouldn't come up as an option. Yeah. And then in the setup, it's just a general group. And then also what you'll notice is a set of tools over here on the left-hand side. And this as well is an administrator tool. So for example, there are certain things that might be sitting for you to actually go in and administer. Doesn't happen often. If there are any members that have requested to join, they sit here as a notification. So you would click on that and you would come into here and it would say, you know, Morel Brockett, it would give you details. I would have answered the questions. You would go through them, satisfy that you're happy with that, and then accept. Further from that, there are also, you can automatically approve members. This is where you set up your questions. This is where, so when you set up your group, you can say, let anyone in the group share a post. So actually share content without the administrator approving that. If you, however, wish to, and we don't have any of our groups that need an administrator to approve posts. Everybody within our groups can share, but if there's anything that comes up there, we will notify them. All of that's in the rules. You know, the group rules, this is where you set the group rules. So for example, for this one, the group rules are pretty much down here about how to be courteous and kind, how to respect everybody's privacy, really importantly. And the other important one is to share evidence-based research information, so things that have come from good resource and research, and make sure that everybody is safe and welcome. So, you might not always agree with someone's point of view, but certainly we make sure that everybody has a voice and is entitled to share their point of view, as long as it doesn't offend, of course. For after the recorded, thank you. Thank you, Claire. So this is generally what a Facebook group will look like. This up here is what's called your Facebook cover here. Down here, you see who is members of your group. Across the top here are all of the different quick tabs. So you can, the about section. So what is this Facebook group about? The discussion, which is pretty much where all of the content is. So this here is all the activity of the group. Here. Any topics, who the members are. If there are any events, you can actually create your events within this group for the group members to see. And then any media, videos and things like that sitting here. And that's pretty much that.